Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are the Otakuology Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed our last episode. Let's get into this new one. Episode 3. Prepare for trouble.
And make it double.
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all peoples within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Otaku Mike.
Jin Graves.
Otakuology blasts off at the speed of light.
Surrender now or prepare to fight.
Otaku! That's right!
That's right!
Guys, we're talking about Pokemon, particularly the Pokémon 25th anniversary, because that is upon us.
Right, guys? And we wanted to do just this little funny thing to make you guys laugh, okay? Now, if you ever find us in the future, just be like, hey, I know where they started out over on Otakuology. I like these two voice actors.
Oh, boy. Oh, man, Pokemon. Oh, that's a meaty subject right there.
It is. It's a hell of a ride.
So,
that's probably the biggest swinging dick in the world right there. I'm just going to tell you that.
And that's right up there with Marvel, I think.
Right?
Yeah. So, for those people who don't know, give me a little backstory or history on the world of Pokemon, Jin.
Oh, man. So, I mean, this year marks the 25th anniversary for Pokemon, and there are a ton of new things that are coming out. Super excited. I think you and I both have some merch or something to represent our passion for Pokemon. But super excited. So to do part of that and actually get prepared for the podcast, I took a few notes on different things for us to actually bring up that maybe you viewers out there didn't know. So first off, did you know that Game Freak, one of the companies that actually makes Pokemon, they didn't even put it out until years after the company was created, because they basically did that in 1989 in April.
Oh, really?
That's
something I didn't know.
Right? And so Game Freak put Pokemon out originally, which I believe it was made and started getting created and everything in 1991, which is the year that yours truly was born. But it didn't end up coming over here till like 2000 or 1994 or 1995. And I didn't know this. This was something that came up in my research, that they actually made the Pokemon company in April of 98.
Oh, really? So what, for new people who are into Pokemon, or for people who just don't know, what exactly is the premise of Pokemon?
So, Pokemon is a really fun game. Basically, you are a child that is starting out your journey picking one of 3 starters, and it is always that way. And going on your journey to catch these other pocket monsters and other stuff, and kind of build your team and build their friendship and enjoy playing the game and stuff.
Wasn't it kind of based on oh god, they call it something in Japan where they collect and battle the beetles? The bugs?
Yes. So originally, one of the 2 guys that created it, which is another thing that I will let you guys know, is, so the original creator was Satoshi Tajiri, and so that was one of the inspiration that he actually had for it, which makes sense now in the starting games where you have that big part of the Bug First Virillion City,
Yeah.
or the Virillion Forest.
Caterpie.
Yes, Caterpie, Butterfree, Beedrill, Kakuna,
Metapod.
yeah, Weedle,
Yeah.
Pinsir, all that other stuff. Basically, those were all guys that were kind of a special thing for Satoshi, because the beetle battle thing that you said was an inspiration to him, and that's kind of where the roots of Pokemon started out as.
I think kids still do that to this day. I think it's like a elementary school thing. Like they'll go out and
Yes,
like find their beetles and then they'll
I,
train them and stuff like that to
I
like
think
look you.
it's just bugs in general.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because it's actually like a small form of gambling. So you know how over here we have the snail races or whatever, or the toad races.
Yeah.
There, it's battling the beetles.
Oh man. Uh so yeah, it's about battling and trying to be the best. You know, it's a pretty interesting concept that has surprisingly stood the test of time.
Right? Given that a lot of people still like to bring up and try and bust the ball fact of that Pokemon is basically a dog fight.
Oh yeah, Pokemon is like a cockfight
Yeah.
type of thing. Like
So
I, I remember seeing something one time. It was like a preacher or something, and they were like, "Pokemon promotes witchcraft and like satanic like rituals because you're fighting these things, these monsters, and you're uh like it was weird. It was really fucking weird. It was like an old video I saw one time
right.
trying to say that Pokemon was bad.
So from April, when the Pokemon Company was established and everything, so we actually got our first games over here, which would be Red and Blue. If you were in Japan, the previous games would have been Red and Green.
Yep.
Um, so September 28th, 1998 is when we actually had our first copies of the Pokemon game come out over here.
And
Can you
correct me if
believe that?
I no, I can't believe that, but correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Blue a like better version of the I think it was like green or something like that?
It
Like
was
it
it
was
was all the same. I don't know why they thought that blue would do better than green. Maybe it's the American flag. Maybe they thought red and blue would be a better representation over here.
well, I heard it was like a little better and they added a little bit more stuff, but I could be wrong.
I have no idea.
I'll have to go back and look that up.
I know that the early premise that we were supposed to have as well is that red was supposed to actually start out with a Jigglypuff instead of a Pikachu, and um, they had to
Oh,
actually have a talk about that and say, well, I feel like
I thought
that
it was
Pokemon.
Clefairy.
No, Clefairy I think was a side idea, but Jigglypuff was the
Okay.
original,
Okay.
and they thought it might be a little too girly for boys to
Oh.
get into the game.
I remember like a whole your other rival was cut out completely. Like we
Right,
never got so in Pokemon you had Red and Blue who were the main and protagonist and antagonist, but you had Green as well. And Green was a female trainer who was like a thief if I remember correctly.
right.
She was cut out completely.
And that all came over, I guess, with the manga because we don't
Yeah.
actually see any of that.
Yeah, cuz Green I don't think exists in our version of the games anywhere. I do know Red and Blue do come back eventually in the games, but we never see Green ever again. But we have our first 151 Pokemon
Right,
was the start of the Pokemon trying to catch them all type of thing.
right.
Um, what were some of your favorite Pokemon from the first generation?
So, part of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 1 is actually probably my favorite one of all time. which would have to be Dragonite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dragonite was just always one of my favorite guys. I know that a lot of people like Charizard and stuff, but I really liked and catered to Dragonite more because instead of just being a fire dragon, Dragonite could do like everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get you. My favorite was I really liked Vulpix. I was a big Vulpix fan.
Yeah,
Uh, I feel like you're laughing at me right now.
a little bit.
Why? Why are you
On
laughing at
the
me?
inside, I never would have picked you as a Vulpix person,
I thought Vulpix was cute.
and then I have to
Like,
think that Brock had one of those.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Pokemon has expanded and has been like an empire now, basically. A pop culture empire. Um, one when did you first discover Pokemon? How did you first discover Pokemon?
I first got Pokemon. My dad had a Game Boy,
Uh huh.
and I remember playing Kirby and some other stuff. And then it was, here's um, here's a copy of Blue version, and playing that on the old big ass gray Game Boy and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, So, and I think we had like everything. At one point, we had like the Game Boy Pocket and the Game Boy Color. I remember carrying that around forever and having some Pokemon stickers on that.
Uh huh.
Going from there and enjoying it and everything. So,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I first got into Pokemon, surprisingly enough, through the anime, um, and the card game as well. I didn't have a Game Boy like everybody else. I sadly chose the Sega Game Gear as my portable gaming device, so I didn't get to experience Pokemon until I was or Pokemon gaming until I was in middle school.
right.
So my first like I did play Pokemon Red and I beat it on a flight to West Virginia.
Yeah,
Like I borrowed my friend's Game Boy in his game and I played all the way through it. But I didn't touch Pokemon like hardly ever until I got Pokemon Gold. Pokemon Gold was when I first started really getting into Pokemon.
right.
Um, that was my first official Pokemon game that like. I dove head into, I guess you could say. Other than Red, um, but after that, I stopped with the Pokemon games. Like I haven't played a Pokemon game since Pokemon Gold, so I'm a little out of the loop when it comes to Pokemon games.
You're pretty rusty.
How many Pokemon games are there, Jen?
Oh
Other
man,
we're talking about the main line, the not the spin-offs. Not like the card games and spin-offs and whatnot like that. How many are there? Do you know all of them?
oh, you mean like just like your Pokemon Adventure set?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a lot. There's
Like
two more
Red,
coming out this year.
yeah.
Uh, let's see. Let's see if I can name them all.
Okay.
So you got red and blue.
Uh-huh.
If you want to include green from Japan.
Yeah, probably include green, yeah.
So and then yellow,
Yeah,
and
yellow
then
was based on the TV, right?
right. Well, yellow was based off of you actually getting to travel with
Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Yeah.
So um, so you had yellow, you had silver and gold and crystal,
Uh-huh.
and then you had ruby and sapphire,
Uh-huh.
fire red and leaf green,
Yeah.
crystal, and you had black and white, X and Y,
Mm-hmm.
platinum, Black 2 and White 2.
Did you get Ruby and Sapphire?
Yeah.
Emerald?
Yeah, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. And then you have Omega Ruby and
Alpha
Alpha
Sapphire?
Sapphire. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I always get those mixed up at some point.
And was it Sun and Moon?
Sun and Moon are some of the last ones that came out. Then you have Sword and Shield. And then the new two, which
New two.
are, I think it's like Brilliant Diamond and it's another something Pearl.
Yeah.
So altogether, there's like 30 games that have come out.
That's a lot of games. Over 25 years?
Right? Yeah.
I never would have thought they would have that in that many games, I guess you could say.
Right.
Or that many mainline games. So I know there are offshoots and stuff like that.
Right. And the worst thing is you have to think about if you got that most of the time the they came in groups of three because you had your first two that came out and then you usually have one that combined the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So you'd always have ones where it was that, and you always had to, which was another thing that I guess they had in games before with the Game Boy was the connection cable, which is
Mm-hmm.
another thing that Satoshi actually enjoyed and made the idea of always having Pokemon come out for with two games was to connect that where people would be friends and stuff basically.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Well,
you would have to trade them the Pokemon they couldn't get on theirs.
I hope our listeners / friends stick around for the rest of our podcast because we have to take a break and hear a word from our sponsors,
Right?
aka AnchorFM.com or whatever you want to call it.
Right? Hey guys, Jin here, and we are back with Otakuology Pokemon 25-year anniversary chat with my good buddy Otaku Mike.
How's it going? Again.
And we are still on this subject of Pokemon, our experiences, and just everything Pokemon for this.
So I had a quick question because we were talking about the games earlier.
Sure.
Do you know the total amount of Pokemon to this day? How many there are?
Pokemon altogether?
Yeah.
Oh man. Uh, it's like 890, I think.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
I'm not 100% sure on that answer, but
Okay.
so let me ask you a question too.
All right.
So, you know, and this is a question that it doesn't really matter which game you started with, but what was
Uh-huh.
the first Pokemon you ever picked from a game?
Charmander.
Okay. I my first one I always picked Bulbasaur. I always liked him.
Okay.
So,
I like Charmander, and then after that, I moved to Totodile.
yeah.
Totodile was my other one that I picked because I only played the 2 games, so that's kind of what I picked. You know, I kind of dropped off after that.
Yeah, I've played the other ones, but I feel like everything else has kind of been like didn't really matter after 3. 2, I'm pretty sure I picked Chikorita and Cyndaquil a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, I was full on just a Torchic guy.
I do because my kids have been playing Pokemon Sword. I do actually like those new starter Pokemon. The bunny rabbit, the
Yes,
monk.
Score Bunny, Grookey, and Sobble.
I do like those. I think those are actually pretty cool um, ideas for Pokemon.
Right.
Um, but I forgot what I was gonna say. What? Where did you go after? Did you continue to be a Pokemon fan when you were younger or when you were growing up? Um, like, because I kind of went away from it. Like, occasionally I would watch the anime. I think
Um,
I think I stopped watching the anime around.
Yes, I didn't fall out of really liking Pokemon or being like all up in its grill for
Uh
the
huh.
longest time. Like I said earlier, like my dad was actually the first person to buy one of the games and play it,
Uh
and
huh.
that kind of trickled down to me playing it.
Okay.
So I mean, I remember having the Game Boy Advance and
Uh huh.
basically having everything to play the Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Stadium and Stadium 2 and all
Hmm.
that other stuff were some of my favorite games growing up on the 64 and things like that. Um, and almost every time we would go to West Virginia or whatever to see my family up there, almost
Uh
all
huh.
of us collected Pokemon cards. So,
Did you continue to watch the anime at all?
yes. So that was actually another funny thing that happened is the whole um, first like Jin. I think it's like 56 episodes or whatever.
Uh
Um, that and including the Christmas special,
huh.
along with the movies and stuff like
Yeah. Yeah.
the first Pokemon, the first movie and everything. I actually had all that on VHS. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I remember watching it on like broadcast television. I stopped watching it. I think when May came around,
yeah,
that's when I dropped it. I just wasn't into it anymore. I am kind of interested, and I kind of want to go watch the new season that just came out. The
po-
one where
Pokemon
which one?
Journey.
Yes, I do kind of want to watch that one. Because it looks like it's slightly different than all the other Pokemon ones.
Yeah,
Because he's Ash is going to everywhere he went before.
right,
With this new character who is, I guess, our new eyes into the Pokemon world, and he has a goal to actually catch all the Pokemon.
right. Go.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I heard this. You can tell me if you know if it's debunked or if it's true or not. So Go is supposed to actually be based off of Pokemon Go, the
Is it?
mobile game.
Is it really?
I think so.
I didn't know that. Maybe I don't know. Well, we'll have to look into that. We'll have to look into that. But did you obviously got into the card game as well?
Yes.
Um, when so the card game hit pretty hard for me. Um, we because when I was in the big Pokemon boom as it was back in the 90s, uh the card game was all over the place. I remember collecting and stuff like that. I kind of wish I still had my old Pokemon cards
Right.
cuz I had a lot of the old ones. I had a first edition Charizard which I just gave away when I was older, and I kind of kicked myself for it. I don't know if there's still any value in them or anything like that.
Definitely so.
Um, I feel like the the resurgence lately has probably inflated the prices a little bit. Um, I feel they're a lot like almost like baseball cards to an extent now, but not as worthless as baseball cards.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, I would say they're probably worth more than a good sum of baseball cards or whatever because um, baseball cards were only a collector's item. They never
Yeah,
actually turned into a game or
yeah.
whatever, and that's basically what Pokemon
Well,
and a bunch of
I
other stuff
was
did.
I was using like baseball cards and the big trading card thing as an analogy to the
Yeah,
Pokemon card game. I compare it to that because there are cards out there that are kind of not worth anything when it comes to Pokemon. Everybody wants those special cards,
right,
um, like those couple of cards that are like really good or whatever.
right.
Um,
Have y'all gotten any of the 25th anniversary cards from
yeah,
McDonald's?
we actually did. my kids got them. I didn't get them. My kids got them, and they've been collecting them, and they really like them.
Hey, I mean,
Uh,
you don't have to lie to us about that.
I mean, I don't. I do have a funny story. So actually today, as we're recording this, my wife sends me a video, a TikTok, and she's like, "Hey, check this out. This is really cool. It's a, it's a, it's called Trainer On. It's a Pokemon binder where when you get it, it's just for the jumbo cards.
Right,
And each month they were releasing, I think, 3 cards for the three specific Pokemon in their original artwork, and it's blown up to be a jumbo card. So with it's about like nine. You can get it for like $9 at Walmart if you can find it. I found 3. One of them is for my wife's coworker because he really wanted one, so I had to pick one up for him today.
right.
Um, but it comes with the original Pikachu card, the Fat Pikachu, in jumbo size form.
Oh yeah, the one with the like purple energy around him.
Yeah, it comes with
Yeah,
Fat Pikachu.
cool.
And they're going to release more cards later on each month. You get the 3 cards, but I don't know when they're releasing them or how they're releasing them in the stores.
Right,
So that'll be interesting to try to collect with the kids because, they're all about Pokemon right now. Um, yeah, like Pokemon. I remember Pokemon being a really big thing. It was everywhere. I remember it being on the Home Shopping Network, if you remember that.
yeah,
Like they would sell like a ton of cards and they'd be like, I got a holographic Charizard right here. Like
yeah.
only 3 payments of $69.99. Stuff like that,
Right,
Like it was huge. Like you couldn't get away from Pokemon. I, I kind of got away from it, and I was kind of brought back into it because my kids got back into it. It's really funny to see them react to getting Pokemon and whatnot, like getting the packs of Pokemon cards,
right.
and collecting them and stuff like that. And then them being like kind of dumbfounded that we collected Pokemon cards,
Yeah,
like kind of like what Pokemon have been around that long? They're like, yeah, I collected Pokemon cards as a child. Pokemon has been around as long as almost as long as I've been alive, type of thing. Like it's not a new. It's funny how they think
right,
like it's funny how they think like, hey, Dad, you don't know about this. You don't know about Pokemon. I'm like,
right. And then
I got
you gotta throw out
I
your wisdom on them.
I gotta throw out my wisdom on there. I have been keeping up with Pokemon as in a sense of I've been getting the collector editions of the adventure manga,
Right,
which I'm reading for the first time now as an adult, and I've really been enjoying them. Like they are really good, and I was very surprised
yeah,
exactly how good they were.
right. I feel like it's a little better than what the anime and stuff left us with.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And just some of the kind of like mystical or mysticism of it stuff
Yeah.
because it doesn't exactly fit with it. I feel like as you go on farther into the series, it might get that way. Once you get past like Emerald or anything that's based off of the first 3 sets of the series.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm currently I just got to I'm at yellow.
Okay,
I'm at
yeah,
yellow, so that's where I'm at.
yeah. So I feel like that first part, red, blue, green, yellow, emerald, or not emerald, uh, gold, silver, uh, crystal,
Ruby.
ruby, sapphire,
Yeah.
emerald, and heart gold, soul silver, uh, fire red, leaf green,
Yeah.
and the last one, omega red and alpha sapphire.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like those ones of the series still kind of carry the mysticism with it
Uh-huh.
because you do have characters that kind of have like weird powers still and all this other stuff. And then I feel like they kind of dropped a lot of it whenever they made like the Black and White series and the X and Y series because
Okay.
when you read that stuff, it seems like it's basically just out of the anime and the video
Well,
games.
is
There's
it,
not
aren't those set in a different universe?
nope, it's all the same universe. They just don't have.
So I've heard they set like Black and White isn't like an alternate universe or an alternate timeline, I guess you could say.
No, I don't think so. I think they're all in the same thing. They're just in different places on the Earth.
Okay. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. I was very surprised how well it's made, how well the art is. I've really been enjoying it so far.
Right,
It's
and I mean I've liked it all the way up to the last two for all that stuff that came out, which was
yeah.
uh, the Ruby and Sapphire, Omega and Alpha.
So were you as big into the cards as a kid? Like was it still like a big thing when you were a kid, like the card game?
Yes,
It was? Okay. Were you guys allowed to bring Pokemon cards to school at all? Cuz
yes,
we weren't. We
we
Pokemon card
we were allowed to bring them um,
Uh-huh.
and stuff and trade them or whatever, and bring the toys and everything and do
Uh-huh.
that. I just remember one time one of the kids tricked another kid into trading. Um, with a couple of the guys, you had to have like Gengar or whoever, and you had to trade with a
Mhm.
friend to evolve them.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, one of the kids having to run to the teacher because the person, after he traded them for the thing, wouldn't trade him back.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so it was a teacher. Hey, you have to trade this back.
yeah, we the cards were really big at my schools that I went to, and we actually had our cards banned. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't bring cards to school because kids were getting like beat up for Pokemon cards,
Oh
type of
man,
thing.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
So how was it for you whenever you had the hit of finding out that basically the person in the video games and stuff wasn't actually Ash?
Um, I kind of knew it already. Like I heard about it.
Yeah,
It didn't bother me that much. Because I mean, like even in the anime, Ash's name is like Satoshi or something like that in Japan. Um, it doesn't bother me. I kind of like it that it's separate. It's kind of like its own thing, you know. They don't follow. Each story is different in its own way. That I feel like you can enjoy both of them.
right.
You can enjoy Ash and enjoy Red.
Yeah,
I do like it that characters have come back in the Pokemon manga. Um,
yeah,
like
like the
Blue and
gym leaders and stuff.
yeah, the gym leaders, Blue or other trainers and stuff like that. You know, it's cool. Uh, I like it that the story flip flops between trainers.
Yeah,
Like they get like a good story and then you move on to the next people and stuff like that.
right.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't mind that it's not Ash. I mean, I could take or leave Ash sometimes.
That's true.
Uh, Sometimes I feel like he's a little too much on times, and like I don't know. It just maybe it's because we spent so much time with them. It just I don't know. He's kind of like Goku in a way,
That's true.
where
Definitely agree to that.
he doesn't necessarily always evolve and mature and whatnot.
Well, of course, because even though we're at 25 years, he's only
He's perpetually like 13, 10, 13.
he's 10. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and
I'm still waiting for them to announce when Ash is gonna have his 11th birthday.
I mean, didn't he like just recently win a Pokemon championship or tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Do you have getting away from that a little bit? You have
Okay.
any Pokemon merch at your house or whatever things that you and your family collect?
Just the cards. I do have a Pikachu keychain
Yeah,
that I got from like a subscription box thing. Not really, not really any Pokemon merch. Um, I do have a funny story though about playing Pokemon. Um, I don't mean to change the subject, but uh remember when Pokemon Go was really big?
yeah,
So I got like really, really into Pokemon Go at one point, and I had to stop cold turkey because I was like really that into it.
yeah,
Like we like even Kathleen was into it as well. We would go on like dates, and then after like we would go out on our dates, we would like go to the park and like play Pokemon Go
yeah,
or go to like special Pokemon Go events to try to get said Pokemon or whatever, and like try to oh, this Pokemon's here, like be a part of like the city's Pokemon Go group to find
yeah,
out where what Pokemon's coming up or whatever, or try to get beat a gym or whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
um I don't think Pokemon Go is a bad game. If I would pull it up every occasionally and play it, I don't pop it on a lot. But there's this one time where I would go on my work breaks and like drive around like really slow
yeah,
to hatch my Pokemon eggs.
yeah,
And so my work is next to like a suburb, like a place, like a what do you call it? Homes, like a
uh,
home suburbs or
oh,
whatever.
suburban.
Yeah, suburban area.
Yeah,
It's like kind of in the middle off to the side my work is. And I would drive around in the suburban area like really slow. Um, and somebody called the police on me
yeah,
and I got stopped by the police officer and he's like, excuse me, what are you doing? Somebody called about an suspicious person driving really slowly around here. Are you trying to like rob any house or something like that? And I'm like, I'm just trying to hatch my egg. I'm playing Pokemon. And he's like, oh, oh, you're playing Pokemon? Me too. He's like, what do you got?
oh man,
Yeah,
that's funny.
I almost got a ticket or possibly arrested for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh
but
man.
no to really any of the Pokemon merch.
So
Uh,
I have a Pokemon Go story
okay,
too before we get
okay,
back on merch. Uh, so uh, we got this email at work one time at the old place that I worked at,
uh huh.
and it was basically almost like a cease and desist order for our whole like agency or whatever
What?
from our director be-
No.
because people were sitting there playing it, and our building sat right up on top of one of like the landmark places or whatever.
Yeah, where there's like a Pokestop.
Yeah, and so people
Yeah.
would use that. Well, there was one time it was like a Snorlax that popped up or whatever, and like 10 people had left their desk to go and
Oh
try and
man,
catch
really?
this guy. Yeah, they like you could hear for a second like people walking and everything, or like running to the other side of the building where this thing was. And so our director sent out this thing and said, "Hey, um, nobody is to be allowed to have Pokemon Go on at work unless you're on your break outside walking around."
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna share my other Pokemon story because I just remembered it. My other Pokemon Go story.
Yeah,
So one day we were at home, not doing anything, and this is back when Pikachu was very elusive and you couldn't find Pikachu a lot.
right.
and Kathleen and I were excuse me, we're in a bet, see who could catch Pikachu first.
Right.
And I forget what was on the line for our bet, but I was on Pokemon Go. We were watching a movie, and I was, you know how your Pokemon will show up, and it'll be like grayed out if it's nearby
Right.
or whatever. So a Pikachu popped up, and I jumped up out of my seat out of nowhere, bolted out the door with no shoes on, running down the road, trying to find Pikachu. It Little did I know it was one of the hottest days in Texas. I burnt the bottom of my feet trying to play Pokemon Go.
So did you catch Pikachu?
I did not catch Pikachu.
Oh, man.
I came home and my feet, the bottoms of my feet were just burnt.
Oh, man.
I couldn't, it hurt to walk.
Yeah.
That's my stupidity for people.
Goodness.
People, that's my tip. Don't go out barefooted
So,
trying to play Pokemon Go.
I think of the two of us, merch-wise, I think I do have more. So I have, like, all the Pokemon manga that, well, almost all the Pokemon manga that's come out, except for, like, the part of the offshots and like the Sun and Moon series. I don't have
Uh-huh.
any of that stuff. But I also have some of the Pokemon Funko Pops.
Mm-hmm.
I also collect the Pokemon Gallery figures.
Those are really cool. I like those. I want to get one eventually. I would like to get one of those.
Right. I mean, you may have to really look at it because some of them, after they leave the store, they don't come back. So that's
Yeah.
the pain in the butt part. With that, I knew there was one that I had missed, and I had to buy that. And it was like triple the price. I was like, "Oh, I'm such a fool for getting this." Um, but I have that. I have the Pokemon 20 questions games because I really like how those Pokeballs look.
Oh,
Even
the
though,
ones that talk to you?
yeah, even though
Yeah.
I've only completed 2 of them,
Oh.
I still have all 3 that have come out so far. But I kind of had to put a break on that because I was like tired of doing this.
Yeah.
After trying to do that, um, I have some keychains, like you said earlier. I have some metal ones that you could get at Walmart.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
just a couple other things here and there. I have some of the Pokemon miniatures that were out basically when I was a kid. Um, some other stuff like that.
Yeah. So, let me ask you because we're gonna wrap this up a little bit, and we'll ask you about this. Um, why why do you think Pokemon has lasted in our pop culture for such a long time? Because 25 years is a
Right,
long time, and it keeps, it's almost like evergreen because it keeps getting new fans. Why do
right.
you think it's lasted for so long?
I think it's probably lasted so long because there is a lot of stuff that comes out for it. There's always new ones,
Hmm.
or new genres, so people can always get into it with each new
Yeah.
generation that comes out. But
Yeah.
I really feel like probably the strongest thing is probably us, like us getting into it when we did, and it
Uh-huh.
still being around. It's one of those things that we can kind of throw off on our kids as well and
Yeah.
say, hey, this is what we liked, and you can
Yeah.
like it too.
That's one thing that I really like sharing with them, with my kids, is Pokemon. You know, it's fun to see their excitement and their passion for these little cuddly creatures that fight each other. It's
Right.
it's fun. It's fun.
When I
and
was
stuff like that.
doing some research on this, I found this one thing that said, basically, besides Pikachu, one of the only other big household names was Mickey Mouse.
Oh, really? So he's up there with Mickey Mouse then?
I think he might be even more than Mickey Mouse at some points.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah. If we missed any topics or missed any points that you wanted us to talk about, please let us know. And
Or even
well,
ones that you want us to dive into a little more,
yeah, with this Pokemon topic, this was fun. It was fun to like reminisce and stuff like that,
right?
and talk about. I feel really old talking about Pokemon. Like
I, I do too.
I feel like the old man who's like, back in my day.
Right? Whenever you have to go Gen 1,
Yeah,
people are
Gen
like, what are
1.
you talking about? Gen 8?
Back in my day, we didn't have like these fancy Pokemon games. We had the Pokemon game that was like all pixelated.
Right? Whenever Squirtle on the screen was a little white dot.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to see where eventually they go with this Pokemon where they're going to go further now. Cuz I feel like every game they improve significantly.
Definitely. I agree. So getting close to closing out our show and stuff, I would say, so we got some new games coming out this year.
Yeah.
For it, we have the new Diamond and the new Pearl.
Uh-huh.
We also have a new Pokemon Snap that is coming out.
Yeah, God, I was very surprised about that.
Right, and I'm sitting kind of thinking, is it going to be have like the last like 700 that they had
I don't know.
before, or are they going to also incorporate this newer generation that came
Yeah.
out into that? So I'm really excited. That's probably a game I will want to pick up for my Switch. And
I
then they
I I kind of want to get a Switch just to play Pokemon again.
right, and then they have that uh, Arceus game that's coming out.
That looks insane. Like it makes me excited to play a Pokemon game. Like it's so different
Right,
and
I
it's
I feel like Sword and Shield, because I recently started playing that this year too.
uh-huh.
I feel like that's a lot different even compared to the other ones. There's
Cuz
one area in it. It's actually pretty early in the game, and it's just fields, and you just
uh-huh.
run out and you can find the guy or run through the grass, and a guy will pop up to you or anything like that. It's
But
all random gen
is
Pokemon, and
is
I
this
I
is
enjoy it.
this is this new one the one that's coming out that's supposed to be like an open world Pokemon game? Is it a prequel series to the whole series?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Because when they looked at the Pokeballs, like the Pokeballs look like completely different.
Probably not then.
They're made out of like they're made out of like wood or something.
Oh, who knows? Um, but usually all Pokeballs were actually made out of chestnuts.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was just something that I noticed. Like the world looks completely different. It's in the Sinnoh region, which we've already been to,
right.
I believe. Which
Who
was what is it,
who
Gen
knows?
2?
Sinnoh would be like fourth or fifth.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yeah, because it's Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and then I think Sinnoh.
okay.
So
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to check those out or hear about them.
right,
My kids will probably play them because they have Switches and they fight over their one Pokemon game that they have right now. You
right.
should have bought them. You
Your
should have bought
best
them too.
your best buddy will probably be playing it too.
Yeah. But thank you for listening to the Otakuology podcast. If you have any questions, ideas for the podcast, let us know. Reach out to us. Otakuology on Instagram and Twitter,
Right.
or you can email us.
Drop us 5 stars in a review.
Email us at otakuologypodcast.com or gmail.com, sorry, and reach out to us, and then go to Apple Podcasts.
Right.
Rate and review us. Throw us a review. We'll read it on the show. It helps. It actually does help our podcast grow
At some point.
reach out to new people. Yes, at some point we hope to grow bigger. But anyways,
and always remember, see you next
Tuesday. See you next